The unbreakable wall. The stars shimmered above the silent battlefield, cold and endless. For centuries, the Galactic Union had believed their shield technology was perfect. It was said no weapon could pierce it. No blast could touch the ships protected beneath that glowing blue barrier. Empires rose and fell, rebellions burned and died, but the shield stood, unbroken, unchallenged, until humanity arrived. No one had expected them to matter. They were new to the galactic stage, small and isolated, from a blue planet lost in a quiet spiral arm. But the humans were different. Their science was raw, their imagination reckless. They built things that shouldn't have worked, and yet somehow did. And when the Galactic Council demanded Earth's surrender, humanity only answered with silence. Admiral Rhea Caldwell stood on the bridge of the UNS Titan, staring at the distant enemy fleet. 1,000 shimmering domes of energy filled the void, each one hiding a warship powerful enough to destroy cities. The alien commander's voice echoed over comms, mocking and proud. "Your primitive cannons will melt before they scratch our shields." Rhea smiled slowly, the kind of smile that made her crew straighten in their seats. "Good," she said. "Then let's melt them." The Titan's engines flared to life, and the blackness of space trembled as 10 human warships aligned. They called them the Breaker Fleet. Each ship was armed with a weapon so secret the galaxy thought it was myth. Project Helios, 10 experimental cannons powered by something no alien dared to use. Controlled singularity reactions, the energy of collapsing stars harnessed into a weapon. A weapon designed not to destroy but to break through on the alien flagship. Grand strategist Zavren watched the human formation with disbelief. Their ships looked fragile, crude metal designs with scars from earlier wars. He turned to his second officer and sneered, "They think they can break our shields?" "Let them try," the alien bridge crew laughed. Confident in the perfection of their technology, the Council had promised that no energy, no matter how intense, could penetrate a Union barrier. For thousands of years, no one had ever questioned it. Until now, inside the Titan, Rhea's voice was calm, almost gentle. "Charge the Helios cores," she ordered. The air filled with a deep hum, as if space itself was holding its breath one by one. The cannons glowed with a golden light that grew brighter, sharper until the hulls of the ships looked like suns. Her weapons officer whispered, "Admiral, power levels are unstable." Rhea didn't look away from the screens. "Stability is overrated," she said. "Fire on my mark." In that moment, across the void, Zavren raised his chin. He wanted to see humanity's failure, to witness their final humiliation. He opened his mouth to speak, but the stars changed color before he could. Light burst from the human fleet, not like lasers, not like plasma. It was something deeper, heavier, a wave that bent reality itself. The beams hit the shields of the alien dreadnoughts. For a second, nothing happened, then space screamed. The shields rippled like water, colors twisting, lines shattering. The blue domes flickered, then cracked one after another. The unbreakable barriers began to fracture under forces they were never designed to face. The energy readings spiked off every alien monitor, alarms blaring. "No." "Impossible," Sovereign gasped. "The equations, this can't happen." But it was happening on the human bridge, Rhea whispered. "Now you see what imagination looks like." The alien dreadnought exploded in a burst of violet fire, its shield folding inwards before disintegrating. The Unbreakable had been broken. The entire galaxy would feel it. When the firing ended, the void fell silent again. 10 human warships floated among the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful fleet in existence. Rhea turned to her officers and said softly, "Send the message to the Council." Her comms officer hesitated. "What should it say, Admiral?" Rhea looked out at the shattered stars, her eyes cold and bright. "Tell them," she said. "Your shields were beautiful." A pause, a small, dangerous smile. But beauty breaks, and across the galaxy, where the mighty once ruled, fear took root for the first time, because the humans had arrived and they didn't follow the rules of physics or mercy. The Council's fear. The message from Admiral Rhea Caldwell spread faster than light. Every communication relay, every listening post, every corner of the galaxy heard it. Your shields were beautiful. But beauty breaks, for the first time in millennia. Silence fell upon the Galactic Council chambers. The room was enormous, a floating citadel of marble and gold orbiting a dying sun. Representatives from hundreds of species sat in curved rows, each watching the same holographic replay. The human fleet, 10 ships only. standing above the burning wrecks of what had been the Union's finest armada. The shimmering barriers that had once glowed with pride now shattered like glass. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Counselor Vexar of the Dominion broke the silence. His skin shimmered like polished stone, and his voice was cold. "This cannot be real," he said. "No weapon can bypass quantum-layered shields," the scientist beside him whispered. Trembling, "It did, Counselor." "Then they cheated," Vexar snapped. "No species could have created such energy." But deep down, even he knew the truth. The humans had done something the galaxy had thought impossible. At the far end of the chamber, Archon Serath, leader of the council, stood slowly. He was ancient, older than most civilizations alive. His eyes bright like dying suns, he spoke softly, yet his voice carried through the hall. "For thousands of years we ruled by certainty," he said. "Our shields were our crown, our defense, our faith." He turned toward the hologram, watching the human admiral smile before the blast. And now, one small species from a forgotten world has shattered that faith. The murmurs grew louder, panic spreading like fire. If the shields could fall, then no planet was safe, no fortress, no fleet, no empire could claim invincibility anymore. The council demanded answers. How did they do it? What power could destroy an entire battle line? Why did we not see this coming? Each question echoed across the chamber, but none had an answer. Back on Earth, the mood was different. In the orbital shipyards above Mars, engineers cheered as the Titan returned from battle. Humans had done what the galaxy called impossible, and they were just getting started. Rhea Caldwell stood at the docking bay, helmet under her arm, eyes distant. She didn't feel victory, only silence, because she knew what came next. Her first officer, Commander Hayes, joined her. "They'll come for us," he said quietly. Rhea nodded. "They always do." She looked out at the fleet beyond the glass. New ships under construction, massive, angular, each one designed with lessons from the First War, each one built to face whatever came next. "Admiral," Hayes said after a moment, "do you think they'll surrender?" Rhea smiled faintly. "No," she said. "Pride is harder to break than shields." Meanwhile, on the far side of the galaxy, deep in the Council's restricted core, a secret meeting began. Only a handful of the most powerful species were invited. The lights were dim, the air tense. Archon Serath sat at the center, his expression unreadable. He raised a trembling claw and spoke. "If humanity has built weapons that can break our defenses," he said, "then they must never build more." The others murmured in agreement. "Destroy their shipyards," one suggested. "Erase their world before they grow stronger," said another. "But what if we fail?" whispered a voice from the shadows. The question hung heavy in the air, because failure meant extinction. And everyone knew what the humans would do if cornered. They'd fight, adapt, and rise again, stronger each time. The galaxy had seen it once, and even that glimpse had changed everything. "Then we'll end them before they begin," Serath declared. "Send the fleets, every available ship." The others hesitated. "Against 10 worlds?" one asked. Serath's eyes narrowed. "Against one world," he replied. "Earth." Far away on the Titan, Rhea looked up from her command table as new sensor data flashed. Thousands of contacts appeared across the border of Sol system. An entire armada, bigger than any in recorded history. Commander Hayes froze. "That's all of them." Rhea said nothing for a moment, then whispered, "So, the galaxy's afraid." She touched the glass, staring at the stars. "Good," she said softly. "They should be." The alarm lights bathed the ship in red. Sirens echoed through the decks. Crews ran to battle stations. Engineers activated shield fields. And the Helios cannons began their slow, dangerous charge. Humanity's finest stood ready, not for survival, but for proof. Proof that even fear could be broken. And as the alien fleets closed in, Rhea Caldwell gave her final order. "Let's remind them why the stars remember our name." The Siege of Sol. The stars above Earth burned brighter than ever before, but they weren't stars, they were warships, millions of them, stretching across the blackness of space like a metallic storm. The Galactic Council had united every empire, every fleet, every weapon they had, and all of it pointed toward one small blue world called Earth. In the war rooms of the United Nations Orbital Command, alarms never stopped ringing. Holographic maps displayed the incoming armada, layer upon layer of red dots covering the solar system's edge. It was no longer a war, it was an extermination. They wanted to erase humanity before another Helios cannon could ever fire again. Admiral Rhea Caldwell stood in the center of the command floor. Her uniform streaked with light from the holograms. Behind her, the Titan floated above Earth's orbit, scarred but still burning with power. Her officers waited, silent, their faces pale. "They think this is where humanity ends," Rhea said quietly. "But this is where history begins, across the system." Humanity's defenses came alive on the surface of Mars. Rail batteries turned toward the stars on the moon. Kinetic launchers glowed, ready to hurl tungsten slugs the size of buildings, and deep beneath the clouds of Jupiter something stirred. Commander Hayes looked up from his console. "Admiral, the prototype?" he asked. Rhea nodded slowly, her eyes sharp. "Yes," she said. "Project Erebus is ready. No alien spy had ever discovered it. Hidden inside Jupiter's magnetic storms was a weapon humanity had built in silence and secrecy. A machine the size of a continent, the Erebus core. It wasn't a cannon, it wasn't a bomb, it was an idea turned into steel. A gravity weapon. One that could tear open the fabric of space itself. The galactic fleets approached the edge of the solar system. Their formations perfect. Grand Strategist Zavrin, once humiliated by his defeat, now commanded the vanguard. His voice thundered across the fleet channels. "Form the barrier lines," he ordered. "They will drown in our fire." The first barrage began. Millions of energy bolts and plasma waves streaked toward the human defense line. The void burned red, but humanity didn't answer it, not yet. Rhea watched the readings climb, her voice steady. "Wait for my mark." The enemy grew closer. Confident, arrogant. They expected panic, surrender, chaos, but the humans stood silent, calm. Then, at the exact moment the first alien ships breached Neptune's orbit, Rhea raised her hand. "Now," she said. The sky lit up. Helios cannons fired from every major warship, their golden light ripping through the darkness like dawn. The alien shields flared blue, then shattered instantly. But that was only the beginning. Far below, the Erebus core activated. The gas around Jupiter swirled, lightning arcing through its storms. A pulse spread outward, invisible yet unstoppable. Every alien ship within 1,000,000 kilometers felt it. Space itself bent, their drives twisted. Their navigation failed, and one by one entire fleets began to fall. Not in fire, but into silence. Zavrin screamed across the comms. "What are they doing? This isn't possible." His crew shouted numbers that made no sense. "Gravity distortions everywhere, our shields can't compensate." Then the signal broke, from Earth's orbit. Rhea watched the battle unfold. Massive ships were crumbling under forces their physics couldn't comprehend. Waves of metal and flame filled the void. The galaxy's greatest armada was being undone not by numbers, but by knowledge, Admiral, Hayes whispered. "We're destroying them all." Rhea didn't smile. "This isn't destruction," she said softly. "This is the lesson." The human fleet advanced, moving through debris and broken hulls for the first time. The galaxy realized that humans didn't just make weapons. They understood them. They could bend the rules of creation itself. The very laws the other species worshipped as unchangeable were just puzzles for humans to solve. But as the smoke cleared, the sensors detected something else, deep within the enemy ranks. A signal pulsed, and strange, rhythmic, ancient. "Admiral," Hayes said, frowning. "That's not Council transmission." Rhea turned slowly. "Then who is it?" The signal grew louder, echoing through every frequency, and then the words appeared, translated automatically by the ship's AI. "Do not fire again, humans," it said. "This war is not yours to win." Every officer froze. "Who's speaking?" Rhea demanded. No answer came, only static, and then a voice cold and vast. "The Council is not your enemy," it said. "We are." The lights flickered, sensors glitched. Something massive was moving beyond the edge of the system, something older than any known empire, and for the first time since the war began, Admiral Rhea Caldwell felt something she hadn't felt in years. Unease. The ones who watched the stars. The void beyond Neptune shimmered. Not with light, but with absence. Something vast was there. Something that didn't shine. Didn't move, didn't belong. Every sensor aboard the human fleet flickered. Every system reported the same impossible result. "There's nothing there," Hayes whispered. "But it's blocking the stars." Admiral Rhea Caldwell stood on the Titan's bridge, her eyes locked on the strange blackness. It wasn't a ship, not exactly. It was like the night itself had bent into shape, forming a vast shadow that stretched for thousands of kilometers, and then It moved across the galaxy. Every surviving council fleet froze. Their warships ceased fire, their leaders silenced. Even the mighty dreadnoughts that had survived Erebus's gravity waves went dark, because they recognized that shape. Every species had a name for it, whispered in ancient myths. The Watchers, long before the Council. Long before recorded time, the Watchers had ruled the stars. They were not gods, but they had made themselves so. They built the first shields, the first gates, the laws of light and energy that bound all space travel. And when they vanished, the younger races built their civilizations on the ruins they left behind. But now they had returned. Open a channel, Rhea said, static answered. Followed by that same deep voice, humans, it said slowly. You were not meant to reach beyond your cradle. Rhea stepped forward, her voice calm, steady. You attacked our system, she said. We defended ourselves. You broke the balance, the voice replied. The Council was meant to rule, not destroy, not evolve, and you forced evolution upon them. The words sent chills through every listener. Even Hayes could barely breathe. Admiral, he whispered. They're saying the Council was created? Rhea didn't answer, but deep inside she understood. The Galactic Council wasn't the top of the hierarchy. It was a tool, a creation meant to keep the galaxy stable, predictable, controlled. And humanity had broken that control. Why are you here? Rhea demanded. To restore order, the voice said. To erase the infection of chaos. You mean us, Rhea said. Silence followed, then a low rumble like thunder. You are too dangerous, it said. You build what you do not understand, and you destroy what you cannot control. Rhea took a breath, her hand tightening around the railing. That's what makes us human, she said quietly. The bridge went silent, then before anyone could react, the void outside shifted again, the shadow parted, revealing a structure hidden within, a ring so massive it made Jupiter look small, spinning with silent grace. Lights pulsed across its surface like veins of fire. The Erebus core suddenly went offline. All power lost. Hayes shouted, They've shut down everything. On every human ship, systems went dark, weapons cold, engines dead. But the comms remained open, and the voice continued. We built your kind to be observers, not conquerors, it said. Yet every time we leave you alone, you reach for fire. Rhea clenched her jaw. We don't reach for fire, she said. We become it. The ring began to pulse faster, energy gathering at its center. Sensors that were barely functioning started to detect impossible readings. Temporal shifts, gravitational distortions. They're charging something, Hayes said. It's rewriting the field. Rhea's eyes narrowed. They're going to erase us, the voice returned, deeper now. The galaxy will heal when you are gone. Not today, Rhea said. In the darkness, her eyes flicked to the backup controls. A manual override, ancient, mechanical, not digital. Humanity still built things that couldn't be hacked. She slammed the switch. Root power from the cryo reserves, she ordered. Restart Helios manually. The engines roared back to life. Sparks flying. Systems flickered one after another. The Titan's golden light flared again, cutting through the black void like a rising sun. Admiral, Hayes shouted, if we fire now, the energy could tear us apart. Rhea smiled. Then we'll go down as light, not shadows. The Titan's cannon ignited. A golden beam slicing across space, it struck the Watcher's ring. The light reflecting off invisible fields. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then a ripple spread through the void. Silent, massive, unstoppable, the blackness cracked like glass. Fragments of shadow fell away, revealing something else beneath the mask of darkness. Was not a weapon, but a world, a city of impossible geometry. Endless towers made of living light. The Watcher's home, hidden between folds of reality. Rhea's breath caught. They built it inside the void. The voice, weaker now, whispered, You could have been gods. Rhea stared into the breaking darkness and said softly, We never wanted to be gods. Her hand tightened on the control. We just wanted to be free. The beam surged one final time, and the void itself began to collapse. The fall of the Watchers. The void screamed as the ring world cracked apart. Light and shadow danced together, folding and twisting like living storms. Every star within reach flickered, every sensor went blind. Admiral Rhea Caldwell gripped the console as the Titan shook violently. Warning sirens echoed through the decks. Erebus field unstable, Hayes shouted. Gravity collapse incoming. Rhea's voice was calm even as space tore itself apart around them. Hold position, she said. The Titan's hull groaned, metal bending, but still, the human fleet held its line, because for the first time in history, they weren't fighting to win. They were fighting to end something. Through the collapsing void, fragments of the Watcher's world drifted like pieces of glass. Each fragment carried towers of impossible design, glowing with soft blue light, and from within those ruins, shapes began to emerge, tall, radiant beings, their forms shifting like starlight trapped in glass. They didn't need ships, they were ships. Each step they took bent reality. One of them appeared directly in front of the Titan. Its voice filled the bridge without sound. "Human," it said. "You break everything you touch." Rhea met its gaze without flinching. "Maybe," she said, "but we build again." The being tilted its head, almost curious. "And what will you build when we erase your sky?" For a moment the stars vanished, and every one of them. Only blackness remained, then out of the darkness, a pulse of gold light erupted from Earth. Every human satellite, every defense platform, every colony beacon aligned as one. Their signals merged, forming a wave of energy that rose from the solar system like a heartbeat. Hayes gasped. "It's the Unity Protocol." Rhea nodded slowly. "We never fight alone," she said. Across Mars, Luna, Europa, and the colonies beyond, humanity had connected every surviving reactor and every neural core. The Titan became the center of a storm, a fusion of light, thought, and purpose. The Watchers staggered as the pulse hit them. They had never felt resistance like this, their shields bent. Their shapes flickered, one of them spoke. Its tone filled with disbelief. "What are you?" Rhea's voice carried across the comms, calm and steady. "We're the question you were afraid to ask." The Titan's main cannon charged again. But this time it wasn't golden, it was white. Pure, blinding, endless. The combined energy of billions of human minds drawn through the unity field. The Watchers raised their hands, trying to contain it. But humanity had become something greater than power. They had become will. The beam fired. It didn't just strike, it rewrote, matter folded, time bent, and the false darkness of the Watcher's world collapsed into light. The entire battlefield turned white, and for a single breath, the galaxy held still when the light faded. The void was quiet again. The Watchers were gone. Their great ring shattered. Their cities dissolved into drifting crystal dust. Only fragments of light remained, echoing through the silence like whispers. Rhea stood at the viewport, watching the endless field of stars return. Her crew waited, unsure if it was truly over. Hayes broke the silence. "Admiral," he said softly, "we won?" Rhea didn't answer right away. She touched the glass, watching the stars pulse gently in the distance. "No," she said finally, "we survived across the galaxy." The surviving Council fleets received the same message. A single human transmission carrying no threats, no demands. Just 5 words that echoed in every language known. The stars are free again. And for the first time in 1,000,000 years, the galaxy was free. Free from the chains of those who thought themselves gods. Free to rise, to fall, to begin again. The Titan turned slowly toward Earth, her engines glowing softly against the sea of stars. Rhea looked to her crew, tired but smiling. "Set course for home," she said. Hayes grinned. "After everything we've done, what now?" Rhea looked out at the infinite horizon. "Now?" she said quietly. "Now we build something worth breaking for." And as the Titan vanished into the light of her jump drive, the galaxy whispered a new legend. The species that broke the unbreakable. The world that challenged gods and won not by power. The rebirth of the galaxy. The war was over. Silence spread through the stars like dawn after a long night. The great fleets drifted among the ruins of broken worlds, their guns cold, their hulls scarred. Every signal that once carried commands of war now carried only static and breathing. For the first time in 1,000,000 years, the galaxy had no master. Admiral Rhea Caldwell stood on the deck of the Titan, watching the holographic map of known space. So many lights had gone dark. Empires that had ruled for ages now showed as empty coordinates, and yet, for every extinguished flame, 1,000 more began to spark. New colonies calling for help. Lost species sending their first free words. The galaxy was speaking again. Commander Hayes walked beside her, quiet. "Every council world has fallen silent," he said. Rhea nodded slowly. "They were built on fear," she said. "Fear doesn't survive sunlight. Below them, Earth's orbit gleamed with light. New stations, new yards, ships rising from steel skeletons like phoenixes. Children born under peace for the first time in centuries watched the stars their parents had bled for, and they called those stars by human names. The Titan descended into the rebuilt space dock above Mars. Crowds filled the observation rings, waving as the ship came home. No banners, no crowns, no speeches, only quiet gratitude, the kind that runs deeper than cheers. Inside the command chamber, Rhea met with the surviving delegates of other species. No one sat on thrones now. They gathered around the same table, equal uncertain. A reptilian envoy bowed his scaled head. "Your kind broke the chains that held us," he said. "What will you do now that you hold the hammer?" Rhea looked at him for a long time before she answered. "We'll build gardens," she said. Because no one ever feared a garden, but not everyone agreed. Whispers traveled through the new networks, rumors of human warlords, rogue captains, and hidden projects that still tested weapons in the dark. Power always hungers, and freedom, left alone too long, begins to bite. That night, Rhea sat alone in her quarters, the window showing Earth below, blue and fragile. She opened an old recording, the first signal Earth had ever sent into space. The sound of a human voice saying hello. It echoed softly through the room. "Do you think they'll ever understand us?" she whispered. Hayes's voice came from behind her, gentle. "Maybe," he said. "But do we understand ourselves?" Outside, the stars shimmered like endless mirrors, each one reflecting a different future. Some bright, some dark, all waiting for a choice. Then a new signal arrived, faint but clear. "Unknown origin," the comms AI said. Rhea frowned. "Patch it through." The transmission was simple. A repeating pattern of light and code. A signature, not of the Watchers, not of the Council, something older, deeper. It carried coordinates far beyond the galactic rim. Hayes stared at the data. "That region, it's empty." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Nothing is ever truly empty," she said. The crew waited for her order. After a long silence, Rhea stood. "Prepare the fleet," she said. "We're not done yet." Outside the viewport, the Titan's engines flared once more. The ship turned away from home and toward the unknown. Behind her, Earth shone like a promise ahead. The void whispered another challenge, and humanity as always answered, but by being human. Beyond the rim. The stars thinned as the Titan moved past the last mapped edge of the galaxy. Behind them lay light, worlds reborn, cities rebuilding, empires learning to breathe again. Ahead lay darkness, a silence so deep even radio waves dared not enter. For weeks they traveled through nothingness. No signals, no planets, only a whisper of energy calling them forward. The coordinates from the unknown transmission pointed beyond any known boundary. A place the old maps had marked with a single word, void space. Commander Hayes stood beside Rhea Caldwell at the observation deck. "Are we sure this is real?" he asked. Rhea's gaze never left the black horizon. "If it wasn't," she said quietly, "it wouldn't frighten the dark." At last, their sensors caught something. A shimmer, faint at first, then growing clearer. A curtain of light stretching across space. It wasn't a nebula or a barrier, it was a mirror, reflecting their ship back at them, but older, faded, ghost-like. The crew gasped. The reflection of the Titan showed a different name painted on its hull. "UNS Odyssey, Admiral," Hayes whispered. "That's us, but from before Project Helios." "Before the wars?" Rhea stared, heart pounding. "It's not a reflection," she said. "It's memory." The curtain rippled, and a voice echoed through every channel, soft, familiar, human. "Welcome home," it said. Rhea's breath caught. "That's my voice," she whispered. But it wasn't her. It was a recording, impossibly old. The mirror opened, revealing a sphere of light beyond. Inside it were shapes, not ships, not worlds, but echoes of humanity, cities of energy, fragments of thought, faces half-formed in starlight. The AI spoke in awe. "Analysis incomplete. Data identical to human neural patterns." Hayes swallowed hard. "You're telling me there are people made of light out there?" Rhea answered softly. "No, not people. Possibilities." A being emerged from the sphere, glowing with calm white light. It looked almost human, but its eyes held galaxies. "We are what you could have become," it said. "We left the body behind. We crossed the rim long before you learned to look up." Rhea felt both small and infinite at once. "You left us behind," she said. The being shook its head slowly. "We planted you," it said. "On a world called Earth, hidden in time. Watched by those you called the Watchers. Gasps filled the bridge, Hayes whispered. They created us to forget them. The being's light dimmed slightly. Not forget, to surpass us, it said. Rhea stepped closer to the screen, her voice trembling but strong. Then why call us here now? The light shifted, becoming softer, warmer. Because you did, it said. You became what we could not, and you chose to build after you broke. It raised a hand. And for a moment, every human aboard the Titan felt a pulse through their hearts. Not pain, but clarity. They saw every battle, every loss, every moment of defiance and hope. The being's voice whispered through them all. The universe was never meant to be ruled, only remembered. Then the light began to fade. Where will you go now? Rhea asked. To where stars are born and die together, the being said. But you must choose your own path now. The sphere folded in upon itself, collapsing into a single thread of golden light that drifted into the Titan's core. Every system on the ship glowed for an instant, then stabilized. Hayes stared in wonder. What did they give us? Rhea smiled faintly, eyes shining in the reflection of the stars. Not a weapon, she said, a map. The Titan turned, its engines igniting in a soft blue flare. Ahead lay uncharted space, a million new worlds waiting. Behind them, the galaxy watched, free and bright. Rhea stood straight, hands behind her back. Set course, she said. Beyond the rim, and as the ship vanished into the eternal light, the universe itself seemed to whisper. They were born in darkness, but they taught the stars how to shine.